Yeah, time is 7 o'clock. I'd like to start the recording. So, a very good evening to all of you gathered here, and it's my privilege to welcome you all to the day 4 of this wonderful faculty development program series offered by MCC Research Colloquium. Today, we have with us Dr. Gnanasekaran, and he's working as a senior assistant professor of botany at Madras Christian College. He joined the college in 2016. He's an excellent teacher and accomplished researcher with a lot of research publication. I would say that over 50 research papers in reputed international journals with high impact factors. He obtained his PhD from Bharathiar University, and he has got a project worth of more than 35 lakhs from DST SCRB. Then he has got a lot of awards to his credits. To name a few, he is a recipient of the Indian National Science Academy INSA Medal for Young Scientists in 2019. I would say one of the rarest feat a college professor can have. So that shows his caliber, potential, and his accomplishments in teaching and research. And he is also a recipient of another wonderful award called Royal Society of London's Yusuf Haim International Exchange Award in 2023. And he is also a fellow of Linen Society of London and Indian Association of Angiosperm Taxonomy, Connecticut. When it comes to Gnanasekaran, he is a recognized supervisor of University of Madras for PhD students, and is guiding PhD students. And it is important to have this particular aspect because over the 3 days, we have been witnessing how a proposal should be and what should be concentrated on the budgeting and the logical way of writing the objectives, impact, and so on. Today, he is going to concentrate on why an academician should have a research grant. On the title, why is it important for a professor to have a research grant? Without further delay, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Gnanasekaran. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vijay, for your kind words. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining today's lecture. The title of my today's talk is Why is it important for a professor to have a research grant? I have divided this presentation into 3 parts. Firstly, I will be focusing on detailed discussions about why is it important for a professor to have a research grant. And secondly, I will be showcasing some of the activities that we do as part of the research grant that I have received. And thirdly, I would like to show some of the notable local, national, and international funding agencies, especially for the life science faculty members who are attending this particular workshop. I would like to begin my presentation with a formal word of thanks to the principal and the head of the Department of Botany and the research coordinator of Research Colloquium and the deans and the associate deans of the Deanery of Research and Development for giving me this great opportunity to deliver a talk in this particular workshop. I understand that you have been listening to various fundamental components of designing and preparing a competitive and a winning research proposals. Probably I'm not going to talk in that line of discussion today. Instead, I will be focusing on why it is important for a professor to have a research grant and what are the different way in which that a professor can contribute to the academics and for the research endeavors. Maybe I would like to begin my first part of the presentation with a question. Do we really need the fund for research, for carrying out the research project? I think some of you or most of you must have already, said yes. Maybe I think with this particular question, let me just move on to discussing on some of the basics of what is a research project, and then further I will go in detail uh, on the today's probably the topic. So the two very important component of a research project is having a research idea and then executing that particular idea. So the successful execution of a research project depends just not only on the efforts of the researchers, but primarily on the availability of the infrastructural facilities to conduct the research. Probably if your department or a lab or an institution, if it is with an adequate infrastructural facilities, you may not require an external funding. If the case is different and vice versa, probably I think having an external funding is very much required for carrying out the research projects. And many of the good ideas do not materialize into a good research project primarily due to the lack of fundings. And I think over the last 3 days, you must have understood the point that winning a research grant is an art and that can be learned only by practice and definitely not by luck or by any other means. What are the basic requirements of a research funding? Requirements for a research funding. Firstly, one should have an interest and probably a thorough knowledge in a particular subject. Why? Primarily to find out a kind of a lacunas or a scope in the existing knowledge of that particular area of research. And secondly, knowing the fact whether the existing internal resources or the infrastructural facilities are sufficient enough to carry out and to successfully accomplish the proposed or the planned research project, or it requires a kind of an external funding. And lastly, finding a suitable funding agency is very important, which will provide the fund for the area of research that you are intended to perform and to do. What is a research fund? Maybe I think a very basic question, but I have a simple answer for it. A grant which obtained for conducting any scientific research through a competitive process probably can be called as a research fund. And it is a financial award which is provided to an organization or a researchers, sometimes to an individual, to support primarily the projects which offers public, scientific, and social benefits. And through this research fund, we can establish the structural resources and it takes care of the financial requirements to perform any research projects. And for a simple observational or an experimental research, which involves a smaller sample size, probably I think may not require a grant. But then I think if we try to expand the research into a kind of with a robust sampling and then at the large scale, having a research grant and fund is very, very essential. What are the purpose of the research grants? Primarily to support the research and innovations across academic and scientific domains, and to address the critical social challenges, and to stimulate the economic growth, and finally to encourage the technological advancements. Why is it really important for a professor? I think the majority of the audience who are attending or the participants who are attending this particular workshop are professors. So therefore, I think when we were preparing, to have different topics for the workshop, I think this was a topic that I proposed. Therefore, I think it would be of more general, which will be definitely motivating the professors to apply for a research grant and to win the research proposal. So having, the research grant, especially as, professors, will facilitate us to perform better than those who are without the research grants. And I understand that the role of a professor is primarily focusing on the teaching and learning. But then I think having these research grants will certainly help us to perform better and to carry out various activities, which I will be listing, in the different slides. And let's look at how and, things in detail. The very first important reason for a professor to have a research project is to build his or her infrastructural facilities. Because basically, if you look at the infrastructural facilities that is available in a college or an university or in any institution, will be of basic and fundamental or primarily for carrying out the practical classes. But to conduct a kind of a research which is novel or maybe exclusive, one should have a very sophisticated and special or complete the research projects with an impact. So therefore, this grant definitely supports to procure and establish crucial research necessities such as specialized equipments, consumables, softwares, and so on. The second very important reason for which why a professor should have a research grant is to help and assist the students financially, because most of the research grants covers the cost for the skilled manpower, personnel such as the research fellows, research assistants, or the postdoctoral fellows, because they are the people who are vital in carrying out the research. The third very important reason why a professor should have a research, probably it will allow the professors to explore and experiment the ideas for mentoring, and as well as training the students to carry out the research. So get an opportunity to guide and mentor the students. In fact, the University of Madras, and I'm not sure about the other universities, if a professor, there is a limit for guiding, there is a limit of the PhD students. For example, for an assistant professor, it is 4, and for an associate, probably 6. But if you have a research grant, there is a facility that we can have one more students under the research grant. So therefore, 4+1 is possible. So you get an opportunity to really mentor and encourage the scholars and students to perform and to do the research. The fourth very important reason why professors should have a research grant is to carry out a novel research which will enable us to understand and expand our understanding on a particular subject, or to find the solutions for the problems, and principally to create a new knowledge. So advanced knowledge in a particular subject, I think, is a very crucial reason for which professors must have a research grant. Adequate funding will definitely increase the likelihood of making a groundbreaking discoveries and the technological advancement. Therefore, I think having a research grant can certainly promote the innovations and discoveries. And the next point is very important, because having a research grant will definitely help professors to have a career advancement, and research productivity and the success of a professor is always estimated or always determined using the indicator like how many publications or how many research grants that a particular professor have during the tenure of the assessment. And especially securing such a research grant at the very early career period of your time significantly will impact the long-term career prospects, and probably potentially leading to a greater academic and recognitions and promotions. Thus, having a research grant will help the professors or the researchers or the scientists to attend various national and international conferences where we can present our findings. But beyond presenting the findings, which will provide an opportunity to interact with the fellow scientists and the fellow researchers, that will keep up our research up to date, and also to develop the new ideas. Peer reviewing is another area of domain. I think this area required a lot of ethics, which is involved. And as a professor who was successful in having the research grant, will get an opportunity to review the proposals that are submitted to the funding agency, submitted for the funding agencies for the fund. And you get an opportunity to refine probably someone's study design or improve their methodologies and probably strengthen their overall proposals. Whether the fund is given or awarded to a research proposal or not, but I think we get an opportunity to really review the others' research proposals. So therefore, I think having a research grant, a continuous, contributions to the research certainly will help us to act as a peer reviewers. The next point is very important, that having a research grant will foster the collaborations. Probably it will help us to establish a broader network. Thereby, we can share the knowledge, exchange the informations, and try to probably, I think, bring out a novel and accelerate probably the pace of the discoveries and expand the research of the scientific efforts. So, having the research grant will enhance and will help and will certainly foster the collaborations. And funding can also help to generate the evidences that can inform the government policies and societal decisions. Therefore, I think we can, our research can influence some of the policies and decisions makings by the government. Receiving a grant often leads to a significant increase in the scientific publications and the conference presentations. Therefore, I think having the research grant is very important, which will increase the number of significant scientific publications, especially quality publications. Whatever the knowledge that are acquired through all these various research projects probably can be incorporated in the teaching learning research, in the teaching learning practices. And also probably one can conduct a lot of hands-on workshops and the training programs for the researchers and the students. Therefore, having such a research grant is very important for a professor. And with the research grant, many of the research grants or many of the funding agencies, the grant supports or covers to buy a lot of books and periodicals which are required exclusively for the area of domain that you work on. Therefore, I think the grant will certainly help to enrich one's library. So one's personal library, I mean. So therefore, I think having these research grants are very important and it is significant for a professor. Expertise that are gained over the time are the publications that were published based on the research that are carried out as part of the research grants will certainly help to receive the recognitions to be a part of the global networks. And I think I'm going to show a kind of an evidence for all of those, the points which I discussed now. So therefore, having research grants will certainly help us to recognize and to contribute for the global networks. These, while performing these research projects, which will enhance or which will help the professors to focus on some of the essential competencies like the planning and organizations, communications, leaderships and teamworks, problem solvings and time management. Thereby, these research projects will impart some of the administrative and management skills for a professor. So therefore, I think having the research grant is something is very important for a professor, which will sometimes also help to visit international, maybe to the different abroads and countries for presenting the conferences, conducting data collections, probably to undertake a short or a long-term research stays and trainings. All those things are facilitated by various government grants and institutional partnerships and international visitor programs. So winning such international programs will help you to visit to different countries abroad and to access to the various resources and the materials and the facilities. Probably the outcomes that are generated through the research projects will enable us to certainly receive some of the recognitions from the institutions, governments, science societies, academies, and the associations. So therefore, having a research grant and continuously, contributing to the research and carrying out a kind of up-to-date research and with a contemporary area of research will certainly help us to be very active in research and also brings a lot of laurels and recognitions. Probably, I think what I said, all these, from all those slides, are something that is, pertaining to our professors. Let's look at a few points that how an institution is benefited if a professor, have a research grants. Having research grants by a professors of a college or an universities will generate revenues for the universities or the college, which will sometimes help to establish a new facilities and infrastructural resources, and will certainly support also the academic units. It is a prestige and the reputation that brings to the institutions, which will enhance the signals to the public and to the students that the commitments of the scientific excellence and the innovations by a college or an universities. Resource allocation is one of the very important benefit that the institution receives through the grant by a professor, which will provide the institutions with resources might otherwise be unavailable, such as the advanced equipments probably that can be used by the other faculty members of the same department or by the other departments, or sometimes even the faculties from the adjacent the colleges. And finally, directly or indirectly, it will bring a lot of financial benefits to the professors as well as to the department. I think this is the most important point. The last one is the institutional ranking. I think today the research projects, the number of research projects by the faculty of a college is considered as one of the very important criteria for ranking the institutions, both internationally, the QS or the D, rankings. With respect to India, it is NIRF ranking again, looks at all these aspects. Therefore, I think having more research grants by the professors of a college will increasingly helpful to impact the research projects as well as contribute the knowledge and the societal challenges. And I feel this is one of the very important area that I must talk to the people. So therefore, I have just brought some informations on why is it really important to collaborate and how collaboration is inevitable in research. Collaboration is fundamental, and because that will create a new knowledge and that will help people to together to work and to advance the discovery and find solutions for some of the most pestering social challenges. And what is key in collaboration is the equitable partnership, probably that will create and sustain the lasting network in order to build a capacity and a vibrant global research systems and a group. So therefore, I think collaboration is something that's very important. But when we collaborate with the people, what are the values? What are the core values that one must certainly follow? What are the different ethics that one should follow? So there are so many, core values when it comes to the collaborations. But then I have picked three of them as the most important. And the first is that when we collaborate with the other scientists or the other researchers or the other faculties, it's very important that we pursue a bold and ambitious kind of a research with an exceptional quality, primarily to advance the knowledge and discovery and increase the reach and the significance of the research. And the second very important, the thing that we need to maintain with the collaborator is the independence and integrity. And the commitments to the academic independence and academic freedom and to research excellence and the highest standard of research integrity is very, very important when we collaborate with the other faculty members, with the other researchers. The third very important point or the core value of a collaboration is that we ensure a fair and equitable recognition of the contributions. So when it comes to the publications or when it comes to the technology transfers or when it comes to any outcomes of the research, which is a result of collaborations, probably I think we have to be very fair and equitable in sharing the recognitions and the contributions. So this is one of the very important core values. So with this base, I would like to now move on to the second part of my presentation, wherein, as I mentioned, that I would like to highlight some of the current projects of my lab and the outcomes, and how through these research projects that it was possible for me and for my students to probably, I think, secure some of the points that I've highlighted as important points for a professors to have a research projects. The first project that I would like to talk here is about the ongoing research project, the reconstructing the flora of Madras in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, which is funded by the Royal Society. And three different institutions are involved and collaborated in this particular research. The first is the Natural History Museum, London, and the Department of Botany, Madras Christian College, Chennai, and the University of Oxford from Oxford, United Kingdom. So all these three different institutions involved in this particular research in recreating or in reconstructing the flora of the Madras in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. They are my collaborators of the Natural History Museum, London, and they are the collaborators of from Oxford. And what exactly we do in this particular research project? We are looking at the specimens that was collected from Madras and in and around Madras during the late 17th and the early 18th centuries by the surgeons of the East India companies. So what they have done while collecting the materials, they have collected the specimens of the plants along with the vernacular details, the local usage, and the traditional medical systems that that was associated with the plants. So trying to decode all those informations that are associated with these historical specimens, which are now presently available at either Oxford or in the Natural History Museum, was the fundamental reason or the objective of this particular research. And while going through the specimens that are available at the Natural History Museum as well as the Oxford, I've come across a lot of form labels with the vernacular names that were inscribed. So therefore, we have decided to collaborate, with a professor from the Department of Tamil, Dr. Department of Tamil, MCC, Dr. Kanikeyan Raju, who is helping us in reading those Tamil script, and thereby, I think, making this particular project as a interdisciplinary and more collaborative one. And as part of this research project, we have conducted a special lecture, a botanical exhibition, wherein people from the Natural History Museum visited here, so opened up an avenues for them to visit MCC and visit Madras Christian College and visit Chennai, and to look at the specimens of the plants that are available, in the different forest areas. And on the other hand, I've also trained the students, and I've also mentored the students to work on the specimens which were collected or which are available as an historical specimens at Madras at British Museum or at the Natural History Museum, to collect them and then to collect the data, the contemporary knowledge that is associated with the medical use values of these plants were collected and complemented with the historical information. So therefore, I think students were involved and students were mentored and given training and to learn the plants and to understand the history and the historical use values and so on. And also lectures were organized, and I think the hall filled with the students. I think that probably you can see, and I think students from the different colleges of Madras in and around visited to this particular conference. And as part of this particular project, I had the opportunity to visit the Natural History Museum twice, once in May 2024 and then in May 2025, spending nearly over 80 days, and had the opportunity to access to the historical specimens, 300 years old specimens collected from Chennai, and to study them and to decipher and to decode the informations that were added and are part or along with those collections. And also had the opportunity to deliver some of the lectures as part of this particular project. And also got a recognition from the Linnean Society of London. Recently, I was recognized as a fellow of the Linnean Society. And I think why am I showing all those things as a case, as a kind of an evidence, is to show if you have a research grant, what are the things are possible for us to really, to do apart from teaching. So this is the primary reason for me to show with the cases, with the case studies with an evidence from my own, research. And the second very important aspect that I would like to talk here is, so therefore the summary of the first research project is that I could able to do a novel research, and I was able to do a collaborations with the international, groups, and I was able to do I was able to conduct an international visit, and I was able to train the students and to make the research interdisciplinary and also to receive the recognition. So I think you can see how different, diverse the benefits or the importance if a professor have a research grant. And the second very important component that I would like to discuss here is that how having research projects will enhance or will help professors to contribute to the global networks. So there is a World Flora Online, which is an online flora of all the known plants. Since my PhD time, I was working on the plants belonging to the family Acanthaceae. I think those who are those who teach botany probably will understand and will understand better when I say the family Acanthaceae. So there are plants which are exclusive to a particular family, and I established a lot of networks with a variety of different institutions and the different peoples across the globe, including the Royal Society, including the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew. And as part of it, these establishments, it was possible for me to be a key contributor of contributing the data related to the plants of Indian Acanthaceae to the global network or to the global flora, World Flora Online. So therefore, it is possible if you have a long-standing, contributions and a continuous, research and the fund, it's possible for us certainly to establish a network and to become a part of the global networks and contribute. And this is the summary, probably, I think, from this particular case. I would like to also show some of the other significant, the benefits that as a professor with research grant was possible. Some of the outcomes of the SCRB funded research projects that I could establish a research lab at the Department of Botany MCC with the sophisticated instruments that are needed for carrying out the plant systematic research, and was able to conduct various workshops and internships and offer the students trainings and open up these facilities for the students to come and use and learn and probably, I think, acquire new skills. So all these things were possible, through this particular SCRB funded research projects. And this is the most significant contribution, I would say, probably, I think, as part of the SCRB research project, that we could discover 3 species new to science, and we named them after 3 different potential or outstanding botanists. The first was after a person, Dr. Kanchi and Gandhi, who was working as a senior nomenclature registrar at the Harvard University. And secondly, after Dr. P. Dayanandan, who was a former head of the Department of Botany. And the third, after Dr. D. Narasimhan, who was again a former head of the Department of Botany. So therefore, we could discover 3 different new species of a plant, which is new to science. All these things were possible primarily because of these funds, and it was possible for me to hire a student and to work with me with the facilities, with the established facilities, and all these photographs and all these the things were taken using the facilities that I've established through the research grants. Therefore, I think having a research grant is really very important and significant for a professors. And through the research grants, I could also get a lot of books and new additions to my library, which has opened up definitely the facility for the other students to come and refer all those books. There ends my second part of the presentation, which I think wherein I have just highlighted and showcased with the case studies, with my own examples as a case studies. And this is the third part of my presentation, wherein I'm just going to quickly run through some of the funding agencies, potential and notable local and national and international funding agencies for life sciences. Let's have a look one by one. The first very important funding agency for research at the local is the Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology. Offers various schemes. I think if you visit to this particular link that is given, you can see a number of schemes that are offered, and you can browse and look for what are the different criterias and what are the different, what is the timeline and the application requirements and the different things that you can actually go through from this. And this is one of the very important websites that I think a faculty of life sciences must visit. And the second very important scheme from the state of Tamil Nadu is the Chief Minister Research Grant, I think, which is the most recent one, probably I think for the last 2-3 years. the government of Tamil Nadu is funding this particular research, and many research fundings, many research proposals are granted with this particular fund, and it is definitely a good reason for you to try and apply. And I think this is possible for your student. It is possible that a student can also apply. Your PhD student can also apply, and jointly with the research guide, faculty person. And the third very important national the funding agency is called ANRF, Anushadan National Research Foundation, which is formally known as SCRB, Science and Engineering Research Board, offers so many schemes. And I've just given the screenshot of some of the schemes like Core Research Grant and Fund for Industrial Research Engagements, Prime Minister Early Career Research Grants, those who have joined in service, who has less than 2 years of service. And the last one, something which is very important, is the international travel support. I think this really give you the grant to visit and present your papers or attend a conference, something that is happening in abroad. And I was fortunate to get a grant and to attend the International Botanical Congress in 2017, which was held in China. So this is another very important resource that I think you have to explore and look at and explore the possibilities. And the next important, the funding facility or the funding agency for the life sciences is the Department of Science and Technology. Science and Technology offers so many schemes. I think you can see the screenshot where I've just clicked the call for proposals, and a lot of international partnership proposals are invited here. And I think you can collaborate with different people. You can collaborate with different international, groups who are working probably in the similar line of research that what you're carrying out. So this is another very important, the funding agency that you must explore. The next very important funding agency that we have to look at is the Department of Biotechnology. They call very often different schemes. Some of the exclusive schemes are called for. If you're working in that particular domain, probably I think you are eligible to apply for such a grant. And I think one important quality that as a professor who are interested probably to write a research proposal is that you have to explore, you have to spend time on going through the different applications and the formats and some of the successful research grants and the different topics and the different area of research and also the publications, wherein I think if you look at it, the acknowledgement part, generally people cite the research funding, they acknowledge the research funders. So therefore I think you can seriously look at all those aspects and spend time on all those, which will certainly help you out in having some better knowledge on all these aspects, which will eventually help you to really write a good proposal. The next very important scheme that is available for us is that CSR, I think Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, calls for a variety of proposals, and I think we can look for the different schemes, and even I think these CSAR provides funds for carrying or for conducting the seminars and sometimes some of the workshops and some of the subject specific events that is also possible, that you can actually submit your proposals and you can get the grant. So I think it is very important that to go through this particular website, definitely I think to have the idea on the different research schemes that they call for. The next very important, the funding agency that offers a lot of funds for life science research is the ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. Probably I think this you may have to explore, and I've already showcased the screenshot of the grants and funding. So a lot of grants that they support. If you are working on anything related to the medical, probably it is really very important to go through this particular funding agency's website. And I think also yesterday Dr. Allen sir was showing up one of the very important funding agency called Ayush, the Ministry of Ayush, and almost all the ministries, Ministry of Environment and Forest, and Ministry of Ayush, and Ministry of the different ministries definitely uh, calls for variety of proposals and subject specific and theme specific proposals. And it would be really nice that if you go through and then understand the schemes and apply for those. The next very important, the funding agency that gives a lot of funding for carrying out the life science researchers is the DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. There is a separate board called Life Science Research Board, and I think you need to check this particular website, and the link is provided here, and you can really look at various schemes and the grants that they call for, and you can actually apply and submit the proposals. And I think one thing that we have to be very clear is that the application format of almost all the different schemes will be more or less the same, talking about the scopes and the origin, the background, and probably the gaps, the knowledge gap, or the objectives of the research, and the methodology, and probably the funding, the budgeting, and the timeline of the execution of all those objectives, proposed objectives, and finally probably the expected outcome. So these things are going to be very common. Therefore, I think most of these fundamental components of a research proposal were discussed by the different speakers in the last 3 days. So I think that has given you enough understandings, and that will certainly help you to make and prepare your research proposals competitively. The next very important, I think, the agencies are the funders, which I would like to introduce is the academies. There are three, academies in India, science academies, which are recognized by the government of India. The first is the Indian Academy of Sciences, and the second is the Indian National Science Academy, which is based at New Delhi. The first is based at Bangalore, and the third one is the National Academy of Sciences from Allahabad. So all those three academies independently as well as jointly offers and provides various schemes. And one of the very important scheme that I would like to share here is that the summer research programs, which is a program that is jointly organized, which are jointly funded by all these three academies, and that encourages the undergraduate students or the postgraduate students, even the faculty members who are interested to undergo a training, a specific training on a particular area of research, your interest, if you'd like to undergo, you can actually look for a ad or the call, which will be published somewhere around the month of November by the Indian Academy of Sciences as a summer research fellowship, both for students as well as for the faculty members. Faculty members are eligible to apply for this particular scheme, and during the month of summer, you can go to a different lab and undergo trainings. And I think for the last 3-4 years continuously, students from the different colleges and the universities are working with me, as I am one of the recognized guide since I've received the Indian National Science Academy Young Scientist Award in 2019. So this scheme is really very vibrant and very active, because and in the sense that they give in the sense that they provide funds for so many students. It's not just a limited a number of students are really benefited out of this particular scheme. And in addition to those summer programs, these academies also calls for a lot of proposals for a bilateral collaborations, or even I think to carry out some of the small minor research projects. So I think looking up the websites on these academies is really essential for the life science faculty members to really look for or to explore some of the potential calls to submit your ideas as a research proposal. Maybe I think this particular publication, is very important that I thought to share. This was a book published by India Bioscience, which is a non-profit, organization funded by the government of India. They published a book on the road to excellence, funding opportunities for life science researchers in India. I think almost all the different, the different funding agencies of both national and internationals were compiled and all the informations are provided here in this particular book. And a copy of this book is freely available and downloadable. And the link is provided here. Maybe I think if you just type the name of the title of this particular book in the Google, it should take you to this particular website and to download this book. And I feel that I think this book should be printed and must be kept in the shelves of your bookshelves. And I think in every lab this should be there, because this particular book explains and provides the details of everything, like fellowships or the different research grants for both students as well as for the faculty members. For the women, especially there are calls which are exclusively for a women scientist. So all those details can be obtained from this particular one book. It's almost like a compiled information of all the funding opportunities for the life sciences. Therefore, I think it is very important for you to download and have a copy of it, and just try to explore this particular book and show it to also your students. The students will also be definitely benefited. And I think I have given you a sample of one of the research opportunity which is discussed in this particular book, called Life Science Research Board, DRDO, which I have already mentioned in the previous slides. So what are the different things that are given here in this book? That the brief introduction about the book, about the grant, about the agency, and the eligibility, who are eligible, and what are the eligibility conditions required for a faculty or for a students to have in order to apply for that particular research grant, and what are the different supports that they actually support through this particular research grants, and what is the duration for which probably you can plan and propose your proposal, and the deadlines, and more importantly, the website links are provided. So the links are provided here. Therefore, you can just use those links and explore and learn better about those schemes. And if you are really eligible, if you think eligible, and if you really have a research point and an idea to pitch in as a research proposals, you are most welcome. And I think you can do it. So I think this particular book is very important, and I think and this is what I wanted to show. Therefore, I think this is useful for those who are attending, especially from the life science background. One of the very important international funding which I would like to talk about is the Royal Society of London. And as I mentioned, one of my research grant was supported or funded by the Royal Society under the scheme called International Exchange Award. It's called Yusuf Hamid International Exchange Award, and that's a grant funded for 2 years, and nearly about 15 lakhs rupees was sanctioned for carrying out the research. And one of the very important funding agency, international funding agency, which encourages the other international peoples to apply and visit to the different countries, and to, especially with UK. I think if you are interested and if your domain syncs with somebody or some groups who is doing research in United Kingdom, probably I think you are encouraged to look at this particular website, and you can look through. I think the grant says very clear: the Royal Society provides a range of grant schemes to support the UK scientific community and foster collaborations between UK-based and overseas scientists. So I think this is exclusively for the UK. And there are various the international schemes which were already displayed also by Dr. Alan Sir yesterday. And one very important thing which I could not bring, or which I could not actually incorporate into my presentation, is the NSF, the National Science Foundation, which is providing a lot of funds for the students, for the faculty members to visit United States of America. So I think these are some of the international funding agencies which we can actually which you can focus and try to look at. I think that's all probably that I thought for presenting it today. So I think through this particular presentation, I hope you have understood that having a research grant is how that can actually help professors to contribute better than probably the people who are without the research grants. And I think what are the merits and the benefits of the research grants? All those things were discussed in this particular presentation. Thank you. I think if you have any questions, we can go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mohanashekhar. And that was a wonderful presentation. You have narrated the entire journey, how you kickstarted your research, and then the benefits that one can get when particularly having a research grant in their kit. And now the floor is open for discussion. Just an announcement. As mentioned, that the feedback link for today's session will be shared in the chat box, not in the WhatsApp group, because we have got less than 500 participants. So we will be sharing the feedback link at the end of the session, and please do stay here and give the feedback. Feedback link will be closed by 9 o'clock. I repeat, the feedback link will be shared here, and then it will be closed at the, at 9 o'clock today. Thank you. And yeah. One question could you kindly suggest any funding agencies with a special focus on computer science in general? Probably that's a wrong question to a right person.
Maybe I'm not really sure. Maybe I can check and let the person know.
Yeah, in general, I would say that you just visit that ARNF or DST SERP. They have covering, they have been covering almost all the aspects of science and social sciences too. So please go and check that. It is not like computer science. They have recently called for quantum computing. That's a massive, massive project, like 1 crore, 2 crores. There are a lot of funds. Only thing, are we capable of getting that? That matters. Yeah. Yeah, you can, I'll just make you to unmute yourself just a minute so that you can participants. Yes. Now you can unmute and you can ask the speaker if you have any questions. You can unmute and you can ask the speaker. Officially, we have 8 more minutes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Yeah.
Nice presentation, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, I have a question. Is it possible to apply in CMRG as a PhD scholar or under the guidance of my research guide, collaboration of my research guide?
You mean core research grant, CRG?
No,
CMRG.
Chief Minister.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I think there is a provision for the research students, research scholars also to apply that particular grant. Maybe I think please go through the guidelines of the Chief Minister Research Grant, and I think wherein everything is explained in detail, that what are the requirements and eligibilities. Maybe I think if you are really interested to know or know more about it, you can personally contact me. I can help you.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, many people are asking about their particular domain. Do they have a funding agency for library and information science? Just scroll through all the funding agencies and then see that you will definitely get a lot of agencies for your department. Can you please give any suggestions for microbiology exclusively? Again, most of the people are interested in.
I think almost all those funding agencies funds for the microbiological research because they are part of the life sciences. They should be able to check.
Any other question? You can unmute and you can ask, or you can use the chat box. At the end of the session, we'll share the feedback link at 8 o'clock. Sir, you were talking about the book where you have all the funding agencies. Can you just show the link for the audience?
Yeah, maybe.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes.
I hope it is visible, right?
Yeah, yes.
This is Dr. Shubha, librarian. Sir, actually, I just posed some questions. Apart from RRLF, is there any funding agencies are available related to library science subject? And also, if it's possible, can you please share the funding agencies list to the any possibilities, sir? Because it's help for us if some of them are asking for a list of funding agencies.
Yeah, that is what, just check that the one that sir is showing, it gives all the information about the possible funding agencies and it is available in the internet, please.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a wonderful publication. I think, as I mentioned already in my talk, that it should be printed and probably kept in the bookshelves of every lab, because I think the students who are working with you can go through it and find some very important fellowships that they can actually try. So a lot of things are given in this particular one book. Everything is compiled here. Therefore, I think good source for reference. Yeah.
Yeah, please take a snapshot of this particular slide and then you can download it and you can keep it. Eventually, Sir is suggesting that you have to print and keep it so that you will have some, kind of information. So the another, I'm just sharing some of the questions from the feedback.
Yeah.
People are asking about how to build a research profile before applying to a funding agency, because they just completed a PhD with minimum requirement of 2 publications, and the institution is demanding them to submit for a proposal. They are submitting, but they are not getting. So how to build if it is a live research? Yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
It's
maybe I think,
question.
I think it's a serious problem when it comes to applying such a major research grants, that they look at the biodata of the principal investigator. Maybe I think what is my suggestion is that there are some research which we can actually do without, or maybe with the minimal infrastructural facilities that are available. Probably I think we should try to collaborate with the nearby institutions, or probably with the facilities that are available at your institution, and try to really do some research. And whatever the research that you do, try to publish them in a proper journal, in the index journals, not on the predatory journals. Probably those publications will be a good additions to your profiles, and that's one thing. And the secondly, probably I think it is wise and good to go for collaborations with the people who are having a sound profile. Probably I think or try to try for a minimum a small grants initially, and if those are successful, probably I think you can really establish your research and contribute, and slowly you can build your career and your profile to apply for major research grants. Yeah, probably that should be the way.
Yeah. So as I suggested, that it is very important to provide you need to come up with a good profile before applying for a funding agency, because they will be also looking at your profile too when they want to fund that. And as Sir mentioned that I'm just sharing the link of the book here. You can just click and download. And some people are asking about your email ID. Yeah, just Sir will share his email ID. If any specific requirement, you can contact directly. Okay. Government summer internship opportunities for commerce. Please look at some of the funding agencies or opportunities for that. Everybody's looking for the specific domain specific, and here we have a botanist here. You are asking about the commerce. That is not a good question. Okay. So again, English literature funding agencies and so on, very specific. Please go and check that. First 2 days we had the people from arts and humanities, and the other 2 days we have people from sciences. Tomorrow we are going to have an exciting session on how to apply for funding agencies, especially to conduct events, conferences, seminar, and so on. Okay. So probably if you are very young, please do and build your profile by applying to funding agencies for conferences, seminars, so that you will have some kind of fund management. We have 1 more minute, please. You can unmute and you can ask. Last 1 minute is feedback. So participants, I'm sharing a feedback link. Can you stop sharing? Share one more information. That's important information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can just still use the chat box. I'll just give the information. So, my screen is visible. Yeah, so I'm happy to introduce the upcoming MCCRC faculty development program on AI tools for researchers writing impactful papers for Index Journal from 13 to 17 October 2025. And it is going to be online, an intensive workshop with assignments and hands-on activity on a daily basis. And we have, resource persons from Department of Computer Science, Dr. Femina Shiba, Dr. Shaini Pujashini, and myself will be joining as a resource person. So this program, please make a note of it. Anyway, we will be sharing the same information with you through WhatsApp group as well. So that is on AI tools for researchers writing impactful papers for Index Journal, starting from how to find the research problem through AI, how to use AI tools to do the literature review and writing process without plagiarism and data analysis tools and so on. A complete package for researchers, those who would like to use AI tools and equip yourself. Please be a part of it. Okay, so I'll just see that if any question that is popped up in the chat box, I can formally thank the speaker. So yeah, yes, we have a research colloquium participants group. Tomorrow we'll share. You can be a part of our WhatsApp group, and so that you can get our updates. So one more question. Do these science academics provide internship programs for undergraduate students? Internship, that's a separate session. That is not coming under the funding agencies. Yeah, I think. So thank you so much for joining us today. I take this opportunity to thank our speaker, Dr. Gnanasekaran, for this wonderful talk where he has given a complete picture about why a research, a faculty should be a researcher. And I hope the participants got a lot of insights and idea about this. And I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Gnanasekaran and our technical support, Dr. Ashik, for streaming the same in YouTube, and our Dean R&D and the entire resource person team for helping us in conducting this 5-day series, a successful one. And tomorrow is the last day. We will have an exciting session for all the researchers, because getting a research projects without a great research profile is tough, but getting a project funding for the conferences and seminars is relatively easy. So tomorrow we are going to have a session from Dr. S. Rachel from Department of Social Work. And stay tuned to get further updates. Thank you so much. And the feedback link will not be shared in the WhatsApp group today. Thank you. The speaker will be available here for 5 more minutes. If you have any